I have always loved the water. Some of you have heard me talk about how much I love the water, especially the beach. And some of you may know that I usually keep my bathing suit and stuff to lie on the sand with in the back of my car because I enjoy the beach and the water so much. Just about every vacation I have ever taken and any intentional time that I have used to get away that did not involve an amusement park, and yes, I love those too, involved the beach. And they've not only involved ocean beaches, but beaches on a sound or a bay, beaches at a lake, natural and man-made, and beaches on the river. Probably you all here can't imagine how the rest of the world could think that anything other than an ocean beach would count. But believe me, the rest of us make do as best as we can. But now, here I am, the minister at Coastal Virginia Unitarian Universalist, a church that is located in the city that boasts one of the best beaches in the country. Oh. Who would have thought my call to ministry would have in any way intersected with my love of the beach? Only two things among many that resulted in me being here with all of you wonderful people. What do you think about that? I could tell you what I think. There were a lot of things I did along the way that were necessary for me to be here right now. And although I lived with intention, I never set out to put in place some elaborate plan to specifically end up being your minister. Actually, it couldn't have worked out better if I had. We try hard to make the things we want to happen come to pass. Sometimes with great success, and sometimes not. And sometimes the things we don't plan happen and end up being the best result. Some pretty cool and incredible things have been stumbled upon by accident on the journey to some other thing. Among them, Play-Doh, the potato chip, the microwave oven, penicillin, cornflakes, and Post-it notes. I don't know about you, but I can't imagine what my life would have been like without some of those things. What that tells us is that some of the experiences that we have along the way can have an incredible outcome if we live into them when they happen. It's not always about getting it done, even though we think it is. There isn't much for which there's much for which a clear progression is laid out. And if you hit all the right markers, that is, if you know what they are. You may be lucky enough to get to where you need to be. For some things, it has to be done that way. Here's an example that may strike a bell with you. While some of us have special skills, for a lot of us, if we purchase a piece of furniture that says assembly required, a box with all of the pieces in it won't work for us unless we also have a sheet of instructions with all of the steps laid out for us. And for some of us, we need them laid out with great particularity. Making it to our destination, whether it is finding a place to live, completion of that work or school assignment, putting dinner on the table, or putting that piece of furniture together, we are preoccupied with the end product, the intended outcome. We don't always take the time to be in the space in the middle, the space that led to the potato chip and the Post-it note, the unintended outcome. We have often heard it said that life is a journey. And it is so much better to treat it that way, because even though we may think we know what the destination is, or what we want the destination to be, we have no idea where we will actually end up. And if we think of life as a journey, we can take the time to enjoy the gifts and the opportunities to change course if we need to as well. Those are all things that are given to us. And those are all things that we can discover if we take the time to look at what is around us as we are on the road to whatever it is. If we look back on all of the things that have happened in our lives, where we're at right now, at this point in time today, it's not necessarily the intended outcome of many of the things that we have done in our lives, except for that last bit this morning that resulted in us turning on our computers and entering the Zoom room. How much more could you have enjoyed along the way, knowing that many things are never certain for us? I'm not talking about blatant missteps, those times where you did or didn't do something that you knew you should have or you shouldn't have done. May we all be blessed with the reality that those are things that can be fixed, overcome, or at least accepted. But I'm talking about the times that you did everything right, but it didn't work out the way you thought that it would, but it still worked out. Sometimes the best things that happen to us are the results of happy accidents or coincidences. That's not to say that we should not live with intention. We should, but we should also live in the moment, because we never know what each moment will bring. And sometimes it can bring us great joy and wonderful choices. One thing that's true about a journey is that it's often better when you are with someone. It could be a friend, a loved one, a pet, or just being fully present enough with yourself. There are many moments in the life of a church, some totally planned out and some not. Through the years, the decades, really, dedicated members of CVUU have brought this church to where it is right now. Some of those things planned and some of those things unplanned. And many members will also take us into the future. But being a part of a church community is so much more than the work that is done for the church itself. That's an important part, but it's not the only part. Our opening reading this morning spoke of the church as being a story of lives interwoven and helping one another along the arduous path from birth to death. And some of the people who have traveled with us to this moment in our lives over the years are the people right here in this church. And they will be with us on the road to tomorrow too. And what a great joy it is when new members join the fold. And today, we are blessed to be able to celebrate the increase of CVUU's membership numbers by 2. And now, before we formally welcome these new members into the CVUU community, let's take a few moments to get to know them.